You're listening to Cutscene Confidential.
Hey everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Cutscene Confidential. I'm joined by Sam, my very best friend. From back in the day, we were making our own podcast together, and here we are today at the very first episode of Cutscene Confidential. Sam's done some incredible modeling work, specifically with Civ 7, so we're going to talk about that today and learn more about the creative process. Sam, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
You know, I'm just really enjoying being here with you on this magical evening.
Sorry, is this the real thing?
Yeah, this is the real.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
No, it's fine. We just had to get it going a little bit,
Yeah.
get excited for it, get some warm up in there, because our original podcast, we never even really did an episode. We just talked about it for, what was it, like just one night, but we were up for like 4 hours talking about it.
Yeah.
Too PC.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I kicked my headset out of the plug.
Well, that happens. Technical difficulties, folks. We're back.
All right.
So, Sam, those NDAs you signed, what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so what I've been working on, I'm gonna get fined a ton for this, but I'll just say it. No.
No fines. We're not in the economic position to be accruing fines on Cutscene Confidential.
Not at all.
The show currently has a budget of $0, so we got to make them last. But yeah, so it was it really just gonna be us talking about, what was it, Star Wars Battlefront modding?
Yeah. Actually, I think I think Battlefront 2 hadn't even come out yet, so we were like playing the beta and we were reacting to the beta.
Oh my god, yeah. What is that? That's 8 years ago at this point? That's ancient history.
Whoa.
Star Wars
I
Battlefront
want to
2
go back to that game though.
Facts. I actually have been going back through a lot of the old Star Wars games recently. Maybe it's just a May the 4th kick, but
I could actually do some decent modding now with
Oh, yeah.
modeling and texturing.
But that's what you were doing back in the day, all the way with Star Wars Battlefront 2015.
Yeah. That's actually kind of, I guess, my first experience with it. Like, it's kind of crazy to think.
Right.
I didn't know anything about Substance Painter. Do you know what that is?
Substance Painter, that's where you kind of get like all the, I don't know, all the diffuse and the different effects you can apply to a texture.
Nice 3D word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Substance Painter is like Photoshop, but in 3D. So you can actually have your model and paint directly on it or make things procedurally. Honestly, it's actually not great for painting.
No.
Which is funny. You can do a lot of other powerful things in it, but there are other applications that are better for painting. But anyway, you can develop all those different maps you would need for a 3D model all at once instead of like having to do it individually in Photoshop. But I didn't know anything about that when making Battlefront mods, so I was like just taking in all the maps they had in the Battlefront files and hoping for the best with what I did in Photoshop.
I remember you had that really cool mod where you turned, like, I think the rebel officer into Kenobi or something.
Yeah, that was literally, which is actually kind of funny because this is something you do like professionally too, is just ripping from real life photos or from other media. And for that one, I just ripped screenshots of Kenobi from the Clone Wars and then like liquefied it around in Photoshop to fit onto the texture map. So like I would just take his hair from one shot of the Clone Wars and then like cut it out and plaster it and push it around to fit in the 3D model space, in the texture space.
Was this like being applied to a 2D texture, or were you doing this like on the 3D model in real time?
It was on the 2D texture in Photoshop. So like, um, do you know how texturing starts with a 3D model?
No, please explain it for me.
Okay, so there is projection mapping, which seems like the way to go when you first get into 3D modeling, because it's like, ooh, that's easy. I can just immediately get a texture on it. So that would be like having a texture, and it could be flat, it could be like built into the program and technically a 3D texture. But anyway, it would be like a box or something, and on every side of the box is the texture, and that's projecting it in onto the model. And so in that case, you don't need what's called UVs, but UVs is actually the way to go.
So
I mean,
explain what a UV is. Ultraviolet,
yeah,
right?
in other fields,
Oh, what does this
not
UV mean?
so UVs in 3D are basically the like 2D space of a 3D model. So like in 3D space, you have X, Y, Z, are the axes. Y is up and down. Z is forward and back, and X is left and right. And then U and V, I always get it mixed up, but I think V is vertical, U is ultra wide. Now I don't remember what U stands for. And those could also be backwards. But anyway, there are two axes on a flat plane. And so what you do with a 3D model, have you ever made like a paper box where you flatten it? It's like in a certain pattern. So then you fold it all up and then it
Yes.
makes the box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's basically like doing that backwards for a 3D model. So you're taking your 3D part, you're cutting seams in it, and then unwrapping it to be flat. So
I see.
this is kind of gruesome, but imagine like a bear pelt rug. You know what those look like, where they're like
Yeah, they're
all
like all splayed
flattened out.
out.
Yeah. So a lot of UVs, especially for creatures, actually look like that. So then on this 2D plane, you can have just an image. That's how you, like, Substance Painter reads things. That's how you would make a flat image in Photoshop and put it on the model, is you have this flattened version of the model, and then it can read it so that it's all put back into the 3D version.
I see.
I don't know if I'm explaining it well,
It makes sense.
but
You're essentially creating like a wrap for it,
yeah,
for the model. Okay.
yeah.
And so, do you really owe all your credit as a graphic modder or graphic modeler to Star Wars Battlefront?
All of it, yes.
Yeah.
No. I
No.
mean, well, getting into it, maybe. Like, I I kind of forget about that time, but then realize how, like, that was actually my first experience, like, implementing 3D into anything real. Like, before it was kind of just messing around in the programs, not knowing what I was doing, but that I actually had a goal that I could get to. But no, I owe a lot to school.
Yes. Shout out the alma mater.
Yes, Gnomon taught me a lot.
Gnomon. What?
Um,
Gnomon. That's in uh, L.A. Correct.
yes, correct. They're very well known for VFX and games, and they're incredible people who do incredible art that come out of
Uh-huh.
there. And honestly, I didn't think I would be able to get in. I kind of just was like, I'll apply, and I don't think I'm gonna go, but I just want to see if I'm at that level yet. Because it kind of felt like, to me, you had to know everything to get in, which doesn't make sense, but I found out that's not how it works, so that's better. Um, so I applied and I made it, and of course I couldn't actually pass that up. And I'm very happy because I learned more than I could ever imagine there.
Were you learning like technique or certain software or just kind of general, I guess, almost animation or graphic design? Graphic design. I say graphic design, graphic modeling rules.
Yeah, they kind of take you through the whole artist pipeline and like show you like in a actual position, you wouldn't be doing everything that they teach you. Obviously, I think that's how all schools work, but they'll take you like you start out with traditional stuff like you learn drawing and color theory because a lot of that works into 3D and like cinematography, and you can always take those things further. Like you end up choosing a path at some point, like whether you want to go more character modeling or environment modeling or visual effects like simulations. And so yeah, it begins at the beginning with traditional art stuff like drawing, and then you work your way to 3D, and then they hammer in everything you could ever know about 3D.
Like,
But
what was
um, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. This is your time, man. I'm trying to learn from you. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, of course, like I'm still learning every day. Like it's kind of crazy how big YouTube has gotten for 3D, just or any kind of tutorial now. But 3D for me especially because even just like 10 years ago where when I tried to originally pick up 3D, I feel like I couldn't find any beginner stuff or like yeah, just anything that actually made sense to me to start out with on YouTube. But now there's just so much content out there. You could probably fully learn the process on YouTube. But school was nice because there's so much to the process. So it's kind of hard to figure out where to start sometimes. And just knowing like the order of things helps a lot for
Right.
doing your own research.
When you say like doing your own research, do you mean like doing your own work, doing your own modeling, or what does that mean?
Like after school now, I mean, I can't possibly remember every little box they told me to check or every little setting I need to use or tool that's in a program. So like it's great to have that general knowledge of the process and like the order that things are usually done in. So then you can go to the internet and discover it again and like build on it. And also realize that you can break the process and like, because at some point you like figure out your own ways to do things.
Mm.
Yeah.
You kind of have your own flow now that you've been able to establish.
Yeah, definitely. I think, at least for me, and I think a lot of 3D artists at the beginning, it seems like there needs to be an exact process to it. Like, I remember some tutorials when I was first trying to learn, they would say, like, okay, now scale the box by zero point 0.2 units. And really, that would just be some arbitrary number that they decided to use for the tutorial. But you're like, oh, if I don't do zero point 0.2 units, if I don't know the exact units I'm going to model with, then am I really professional? Do I really know how to do this?
Right.
But there's honestly a lot of freedom in the process. And after you learn like the more technical like starting points and I got ahead of myself. Anyway, after you learn those starting points and like do have that more rigid workflow, you can learn how to break it and just make it your own.
And so, what is kind of your workflow now? Like, is it, you said you use a lot of reference images.
Yes, that's another thing that everyone needs to learn, and I definitely need to learn. Some, some, I think everyone starting out thinks they shouldn't be using reference because you should just already know how to do it somehow. But no, like there's so much detail you can get from reference. Like if I was making an environment, like a mountain scene or something, I know what a mountain looks like generally. I know what a tree looks like generally, and how they generally go together, but that stuff can become blurred in your head and you end up just kind of having a generic looking thing. Whereas if you have a set of references you put aside for yourself, you can like pick out, you can steal from them. You can say, oh, that bunch of rocks looks interesting. I'll use it in this. And it becomes a new thing because the overall piece you're making is different, but you have this interesting composition of rocks that you wouldn't have thought to make before. And you should use it for that. And of course, things that are more free form, like characters, you need good anatomy to, of course, you can break it at some point, but having the base to start with will always make a character more convincing if you have correct anatomy.
So, how do you kind of come up with correct anatomy? Is that just by using a reference image? Like, okay, I see this and I see, if it's a person, like a human, it's two arms, two legs, and a head. Or is it really like, you said like the numbers they would give you would be arbitrary. But I
Yeah.
imagine if you use reference images, sometimes do they ever get to be, too inspiring almost? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, first of all, like the numbers that I wish I could teach 3D from the beginning right now, but but like that kind of tutorial I was talking about is like a hard surface type thing. So there are honestly so many workflows for 3D now, but hard surface, a lot of that kind of stuff is usually made with box modeling, which is starting out with like a very simple piece of geometry like a box and pushing it around polygon by polygon to make like a cup or armor or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like hard surface. And that's generally just easier to create that kind of stuff because, that stuff is usually manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get that exactness if you need it. But then something like a character, you would use a program like ZBrush,
Mm.
which is kind of like you have digital clay, so it's called digital sculpting. And with that kind of program, you can just throw a bunch of polygons at it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure since you've played a lot of games, I know your past.
You know where I come from.
You know that models can't always be like extremely high fidelity. Like they need to have a limit to their polygons, so
Right.
sometimes they're jagged. If you look closely, it's but ZBrush is a kind of program that gives you the freedom to start out with like a extremely smooth model.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just have as many polygons as you need to make it smooth, and then you can sculpt out all those details in the character, and then go back to a program like Maya, which is
Mm.
the industry standard one. But of course, Blender is beautiful because it's free. But you can go back to a program like that, and you would do something called retopology,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically making the flow of the polygons better and lowering it significantly. So that's usually a character workflow, is like
Mm.
not caring what the polygons look like at first, and then you get that shape down, and then you can care about what the polygons look like.
I see. So it's building a skeleton, almost.
Yeah, kind of building the whole character, but
Mm.
it's and I'm realizing I didn't even answer your question about anatomy.
No, that's all right. You
But
took it in an interesting direction. That's okay.
cool. Yeah. I will touch on anatomy real quick though.
Yeah.
So like it can get down to like as nitty gritty as the exact muscles in the body. So like of course if you're making a muscular character,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how off something can look
You make a lot
if
of
you
muscular characters.
no. I am making one currently
Oh?
because I do want to get better at anatomy. I it's like something you can just keep looking further into because
Yeah, you'll
I
spend a lot of time looking at my
okay, never
anatomy.
never mind. That got weird.
I don't know what you're
Um,
talking about.
well, like there's probably a point at which you can stop like let me restart. Back it up. Um, so there's all these you can learn scientific anatomy as an
Mm-hmm.
artist if you want to. So like that would be learning the muscular system and all the muscles
Mm.
within there, how they show up on the surface of the skin and stuff like that. Same with the skeletal system.
Mm.
But there's often, it's always good to learn that kind of stuff. But more importantly, artists usually have like landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like bony landmarks. So like the elbow is a bony
Mm.
landmark. If you're skinny like me, I believe it's the collarbone goes out here and makes a bony landmark right there. And
Mm,
so it's just kind of knowing those shapes that will come up on the surface and then knowing the general curvature of things
I
and
see what you're
how
saying.
they intertwine into places. Like the bicep goes in between some muscles that all wrap together here. And I definitely don't know what I'm talking about really, but but I know enough to make it somewhat convincing at the moment. And of course,
Mm.
I'm continuing to learn. But so that's what I mean by you should know anatomy. If that meant anything to
No,
you.
that makes sense. I am imagining that really helps your character models look very detailed then. Like if
Yeah,
you can look and see like, okay, that guy's shin muscle is flexed right now because he's like pulling his like knee up to go kick a ball or something. That makes it
yeah,
look very you know, detailed and realistic.
definitely. Yeah.
So,
That's also a good point
mm,
because like if you're making a character, of course it's gonna need an anatomy one way or another. Like either an anatomy you fully make up,
mm,
but it's a lot easier if you don't have to make that up every time. So like you can make fully new creatures by pulling together anatomy from a horse, anatomy from a bird or something like that.
oh, okay.
Like, you know, mythical creatures
Right.
usually have that kind of thing. But if you use like real life anatomy in fake creatures, it's just gonna make it a lot more convincing. Because I
Right.
think that's something that like humans naturally can pick out. Like even if they don't
Mm,
know what's wrong, they can tell something's wrong with
right.
like the way something looks. So if it's based in reality, even if it's fake, it's a lot more convincing.
And what's your favorite kind of thing to model?
Definitely characters.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
hard to make a convincing character?
it is. It, again, that goes back to anatomy. Like that's the ongoing struggle is just continuing to learn anatomy, always being sure that's looking good. But it can also be another challenge. Like the things I really like to do are stylized characters, so like more cartoony. And with those, you don't necessarily need the same like complexity of anatomy. Of course, like if it's a full-on cartoon character like Mickey Mouse or something, you can just have cylinders, like bendy cylinders for his arms. But there's like those characters that are middle ground, kind of like Overwatch, where they definitely don't look real, but they still have real life anatomy. So you have to figure out like how to give them real life anatomy, but also cartoonize it
Right.
and make it a fun shape.
Yeah, you're telling me Roadhog is not has anatomic correctness. I don't know what you
Somewhere
say.
under there.
Yeah. I mean, I see it for all those characters now that I like think about it. Like, oh, okay. Because something like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that's very stylized, but it's still modeled
Yeah.
after real life.
Yeah. Like with stylized stuff, you could totally get a good base by having like a a lot of the times or most of the time for speed, like in a company, you will have a base mesh which
Mm-hmm.
is just this standard looking male or female model that everyone starts with. And so you have that real life starter to go with, and then you can push it around however you want. So, like with the Clone Wars, you could start with a realistic looking face and then sharpen up the nose a ton because they always have the really sharp
Right.
edges, and then you have stylization.
Mm-hmm. You got the fucking Count Dooku. Like,
Yes.
oh yeah, what an incredible. I mean, that's something that I really appreciate is when a video game art style clear. It just has the sauce. It has style. Like it's
Yes.
not just like, and this is not knocking, this kind of game or anything, but like, I think of like early 2010s, like Ubisoft, like Far Cry or
Mm,
Assassin's Creed, and stuff like that. Not that those games are look bad or dated or anything, but they have like a very similar, realistic kind of look.
right.
Do you
Yeah.
prefer modeling realistic looking stuff or that kind of stylized content?
Definitely stylized. Like I don't think I don't have a fully realistic character made yet. It's something
Mm-hmm.
I want to do just to like challenge myself because it's a very different workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Like with stylized, you're kind of making more things from scratch, whereas realistic, I feel like it's a more technical workflow because you're, I mean, sometimes you'll do stuff from scratch, but a lot of the time you'll pull in like real life scan data of someone's skin to
Mm-hmm.
have fully realistic skin and all the pore detail in there. But of course, people are incredible and can make that all from scratch too. I want to try both of those where you use the scan data, but then
Mm-hmm.
also do one where you're literally placing every pore one by one. But that'll
Isn't
be a challenge.
isn't there something called photogrammetry where it's like taking
Hmm.
enough pictures or something to scan it? Is that what we're talking about with like scan data, or is that something different?
Kind of. I'm not sure about all the different processes that there are, but photogrammetry is very popular. I feel like it's more for environments
Mm.
because you can kind of just like scan around and it'll pick up your whole environment. And they end up, depending on the process you use or the application, they can be pretty messy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they can be good to get a base or get like background environments, but you'll usually have to go in and clean up the models quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually not too sure how characters are scanned. It might be a very high def photogrammetry
Mm-hmm.
scan because it can pick up like it can pick up 3 dimensions and it can also pick up like an image in the same spot. So it'll
Mm-hmm.
put a texture of the skin that was scanned in that same spot.
Okay, I see. So it's kind of like this is gonna sound very like pre-mapped almost. Is that kind of the correct understanding of it, or
Yeah,
like it almost sounds
like
predetermined?
there. So like when you make that scan,
Mm-hmm.
usually you're not going to be using, almost never, you would use that scan as the actual model and textures
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be the final thing. So, like, I could use myself as a scan for a character that looks nothing like me. But I would get that scan. It would put together the 3D head or something, if that's what I was scanning. And it would map like as a photo, my skin detail onto that 3D model. So that's predetermined. But then you would usually take that and with your own head 3D model, you would kind of like, there's different methods you can use, but there are techniques to basically morph my head to the head that I want my skin detail on,
Right.
and then project, and then tell it like project the texture from my head onto the new one now that they're fully lined up. And then the head that I actually want to use would have my skin detail in all the correct places.
Okay. I'm going to pretend like I understood that.
I'm going to pretend like I explained it well.
Well, I'm sure you did. It's just kind of it's really impressive how many techniques there are and how much, just because I think of like, the first few games I played and how almost, this is going to sound mean, but I don't mean it to be antiquated, those look compared to the things coming out today, like your Red Dead Redemption 2s, your, Horizon Forbidden Wests, that just have this insane amount of fidelity and time and care. I'm not saying those old ones didn't, because I love how, the OG Lego Star Wars looks. I don't want that to change. But, it's just really interesting how graphical fidelity has almost skyrocketed. Speaking of fidelity, you ever going to go back to Star Wars Battlefront 2 modding? Yeah?
Oh, am I going to?
Yeah, try that again?
Oh, I would love to. There's so many more options now.
I don't know if you followed Frosty development, but everything that you can do in the game now with something called bundle management and importing your own models now and stuff like that. Although that's been around for 5 or 6 years now, but it's still like back.
That's
from
crazy. It's been that long.
Yeah, right. But back where it was just putting in new textures and that was about it.
Yeah.
Now you can do audio import and all that stuff. It's really unlocked the Frostbite engine. Yeah.
I could probably just as a test take a character I currently have made and just throw it in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
That would be kind of fun.
Yeah. I haven't touched Frosty since probably 2019, but I remember doing a lot of messing around with like importing the old classic Battlefront's audio lines into the new one.
Oh yeah.
Or like changing the music or stuff like that. That was always really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you kind of almost look to get out of 3D modeling creatively? Like, I imagine there's kind of I know the extrinsic value of it. Oh, look at this thing I created, but what kind of is that intrinsic value for you?
It's kind of like at this point, I love how like endless it is to learn. Like, I feel like there's never a shortage of things to do because I can always be learning something new with 3D. Just because there's always new softwares coming out, but there's also endless amounts of techniques in the current software. And then also artistic, like techniques too. Like you can take traditional techniques to 3D, and but I also really like the combination of like art and puzzle solving. So like
Big puzzle guy.
No, like I think you would like it too because you like games so much, it feels like a game once you start learning it and know how to like at least get started with something. If it feels like you're solving a puzzle to make something.
Did I ever tell you I went to a 3D modeling camp?
No?
Yeah, I learned a little bit about Autodesk, and that was or Maya.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that was I was just doing what you said. I wasn't using reference images. I was just kind of like going based
Uh-huh.
off my own mind, which was fun, but I it was a little harder to
You
pick
just
up than
like
I
draw a
expected it
blank
to
at
be.
some point.
Yeah, I'm like, because they were also trying to teach us different like animation techniques, and those would just go right over my head. It wasn't easy to pick up.
Yeah. Well, I would, if you want, I'll teach stuff because I love talking about this stuff.
Well, we can keep you can keep coming on the podcast. How about that?
Yes.
Deal.
I've been considering a tutorial channel. You think I should do that?
I 100%
Say
think you
yes.
should do that. Yes.
Hey,
Everyone, go follow
thanks.
Sam's tutorial channel.
We'll see if it
We'll see what it.
happens.
Oh, that's a good name for it. We'll see
Sam's
if it.
tutorial channel.
Oh, well, I was gonna say we'll see if it happens, but
Oh,
um,
that is good. We'll see if you learn anything. That's the name of the
we'll
channel.
see if you learn anything. Don't stick around for too long, folks. We'll see if you can pick it up quick.
Yeah.
I also did want to ask. I was stalking your LinkedIn page, and I did see that
Thank
Civ
you.
7 trailer, and it was beautiful. What was
Thanks.
your
I didn't do most of that.
right? But what you did something. What
Yeah.
was your involvement in that, and why Civ
Um,
7? Civilization 7, I should say. Sorry.
because that's the project I was put on. Um, no, that was like a pretty, that was one of my first projects out of school, or my second one, I think, which was a pretty cool opportunity. But I got to do some character work on that and environment work. So like in that trailer, there's a bunch of statues. I don't I don't know if you saw. Like it flies through different
Right.
eras. And so I did a bunch of the ones in the wood era. So like there's the violinist, the giant wooden violinist, and then the giant wooden painter.
Oh, so you did all like
And
the culture stuff, right? That's what it was supposed to represent.
yeah, yeah. Um, and then there were like little wooden townspeople. They're supposed to look like figurines, like someone would carve out of wood, and then put what's it called? Wood, the brown paint stuff.
Right. Varnish, brown,
Varnish,
darker
yes.
varnish on it.
Yeah, that's what they're meant to look like.
It was dark oak
And then,
colored.
yes. So, I did a bunch of those characters in the wooden section and then various different environment pieces, like the dune in the opening, that waving dune. And so that was a combination of sculpting in ZBrush. So I was doing like that high poly type workflow I was telling you about.
That high poly type shit.
Yeah. High poly is a really normal word to me. So
Yeah. High it means a high polygon count, correct?
yes.
Okay.
So like so to get all that like sandy waves detail that was sculpted in, and then actually this is this is a big part of games workflows
Mm-hmm.
is, and this is how they get such high fidelity in game, excuse me, in games, is you'll make like a high poly model with all your detail, like skin pores and stuff, or if you're crazy, individual grains of sand.
Oh dear God.
No, you probably would never do that. But
Is that even possible?
um, in like film, they'll simulate
Right.
particles, but not in games. But it could be possible with the high to low workflow, which is like I was telling you about characters,
Mm-hmm.
where you'll sculpt in all their detail and then you'll reduce their poly count.
Mm.
And so it keeps the general shape of the character with the
Mm-hmm.
reduced poly count, but you lose that detail. So then you do what's called baking.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're baking, solidifying that high detail onto a texture map.
Mm.
And this is a texture map called a normal map, which tells light how to act. So it's basically a texture map that reacts like it's 3D.
Okay.
So it has all this detail on it that looks
Oh, okay.
3D, but it isn't actually
It's
3D.
2D.
3D. Yeah,
So it's like, okay, so the light is hitting it at this angle. It's gonna cast like this chiseling on the stone.
exactly. Yeah,
It's not actually there. It's in terms of like being on the 3D model, but it's there through the normal map. Correct?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I'm really studying for this quiz you're gonna give me.
Yeah. Um, I did prepare a 100 question quiz.
I haven't taken a quiz since probably February of last year. We'll see if I'm any good at them anymore. I don't
I've
know. You
taken internet quizzes.
Oh, I
That's
actually
about it.
that is a lie. I have taken some internet quizzes. I took one about
Like, what
no,
cake are you?
yeah, what color Pikmin am I?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm
And
yellow. Yellow.
what does that mean?
They're the ones with the
You're
big
chill?
ears. They get thrown. No, it's because I'm like
Oh,
I'm energetic. I like to have
oh,
fun.
okay.
I'm electric. They say.
Nice.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, what have you been I know you're still gaming. What are you gaming with these days?
Like system
System and
or
then what I imagine you're still on your desktop.
yes. I I'm always like desktop and then whatever the current Nintendo console is.
What do you think of the Switch dose?
I'm excited, not for the price, but for the console.
Yeah. Did they announce new prices since they said, "Oh, we're gonna have to look at it with all the tariffs"?
I think they're the same,
Oh, they're the same. That's good then.
luckily,
Yeah.
but the
Thankful.
games are 80. Well, Mario Kart is $80.
Yeah. Yeah. What? I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't honestly don't really mind game costs increasing
Yeah,
because so
they
many
are
are on
endless.
sale. Exactly.
Endless.
There's just so many of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I say that thinking, oh, most games go on sale, and they do, except for Nintendo games out of all of
Yeah.
them. Which, hey, that's their business practice, and they don't have any issue getting customers. So I'm not gonna blame them for getting Mario Kart World. Was it right
Yeah.
at $80?
I mean, I would say I get my funds worth out of whatever cost they usually are.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely put 80 hours into Mario Kart 8, so
Yeah.
I would be very excited to see what they do with World, with having that kind of explorable hub world, kind of like Did you ever play Crash Team Racing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of what
That one's fun.
I played it a little bit, but if you're looking for like a deep cut, like kart racing game, it's not really deep cut. It's just
Garfield
deep.
cart.
It's deep. Well, oh, don't even get me on. Oh my God, memory
You bought
unlocked.
me that.
I did. Who else? I bought like four people that. Oh my God,
I
Garfield
found
cart.
out the other day uh well I download have you played Repo?
Repo, REPO? No.
Yeah.
Is it
Okay.
about repossessing cars?
No, I don't actually know what it's about. Well, well, I don't know what repo means, but you could be onto something that might. You go in, you're like a little robot, and you go into um, locations and
Hmm.
like gather valuables, and there's monsters.
Okay.
It's more fun than it sounds, than I'm making it sound. But
No, I mean that
um,
sounds like a good setup for a game. Like what's Mario. You go to the right of the screen and there's monsters.
good point.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I like
I
a good
was
monstie.
I was on a mod loader for Repo.
Hmm.
It's like a mod loader for a bunch of different games.
Is it Vortex from Nexus
No,
or is it like it's
it was from Overwolf.
never heard?
But
Wow.
Garfield Kart was on there. So you can mod
No
Garfield Kart.
way. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe I should be a full-time Garfield Kart modder.
yeah. I know there's a big audience out there for you. I completely forgot. A, I had that in my Steam library. B, that I bought it and gifted it to. I think it was you and Joey. It might have been you and Joey.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God,
It's good fun.
it is. I mean, I don't think it compares to. Oh my God, what was that? What was that one game we always were in Siege back in the day, and
Yeah,
that got a little too.
I stopped that.
Thank God.
Honestly, I stopped most competitive games because I was getting too competitive. And it
Yeah,
was like,
like
this is stressing me out, and that's not what games should be doing.
exactly. I want to decompress. Give me like a good game to decompress for me is Helldivers 2. I don't know if have played that
Uh,
yet, but
I've not yet. I have such a big backlog, and it's on the backlog.
yeah, it's back there. What's in the front log right now? What have you been running recently?
Tears of the Kingdom, I'm finally getting through. What did you think of that, since you're such a big Zelda fan?
So I really do I really enjoyed it the first time I played it. I think I always wonder what it would have been like to play that game, Tears of the Kingdom, before I ever played Breath of the Wild. Because there's a bit of them that
You,
you feel so
what do you mean by that?
they feel so familiar to one another,
Uh-huh.
in the sense that the world you're exploring in between the whatever game's old Sky and the Depths, Hyrule is very it's like a remix of all this stuff, and most of it does feel pretty different. Like okay, the Great Fairy Fountain in Kakariko Village, or well,
Hmm.
how much have you been? It's a big pit.
I, oh, that's, I think that's one town I'm still trying to find for some reason. I'm, I'm at the point where I can fight the final boss,
Oh, okay.
but I still haven't found Kakariko.
You haven't been to Kakariko. Okay. Um, there's some, and that's what's cool about it is like there's different stuff to do there, but
Hmm.
I think I just like I just have nostalgia for Breath of the Wild more because I just think it's I don't know it's just something it's like more straightforward almost
Mm. Yeah.
like just go beat Ganon, that's it, and then
Hmm.
Tears of the Kingdom we kind of have to do this whole rigmarole, but that's not to mean that it's bad. I do really like the fuse mechanic where you can kind of make your own weapons. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
I'm not that big of a fan of the building, but what are you thinking about the game so far? Because I never beat it. I never got past fifth dungeon.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Is that the
I,
final one? There's only
uh, yeah, there's only
four
four.
of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Four.
I really enjoy it, but I do get what you're talking about with the straightforwardness of Breath of the Wild. Like sometimes dropping an item to then be able to make a better weapon can be kind of annoying.
Yeah, just the
Uh, and then the menu, I think, like the items menu should be a circular menu instead of scrolling through
yeah.
for an hour. But the gameplay, without like quality of life things aside, I really enjoy it.
It's still, I mean, I don't know what to call it. Like everyone says open world Zelda, so I guess that open world Zelda where it's kind of like you
Hmm.
go and do what you want. But something I appreciate it, and I've started to appreciate about it, is like I like games when games feel like adventures. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Skyrim. Like fuck it, I'm going on some adventure to fight some dragons right now. Or
Yeah,
like Metal Gear Solid 3. Like damn, I'm in that jungle. Like
yeah,
I like being transported through a game, and so Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are just all about gameplay, and that's the way you move through it. That's how I appreciate it for that. Where it's just
yeah,
first and foremost gameplay. Like I saw a lot of people complain about like the story still being like disjointed and all that or whatever, but I still think like the game prioritized gameplay above all else. Like we'll explain
mhm.
everything else later, and I really appreciate and respect that.
Yeah. I think that's like Nintendo's philosophy, right? And
That's
I
what Reggie
respect it.
says. That's what Reggie says. If it's not fun, why bother? I'm like, that's such
Yeah.
a banging quote. Like, it's truly like,
Definitely.
if the game's not fun, I don't want to play it.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. You said Tears of the Kingdom. What else you been running?
Um, trying. I'm on like 10 different things at a time just because I start playing something and then I'm like, I want a different vibe today, and then I start another one. But I'm trying to
Right.
think. I started a game called Garden Story, which is an indie game.
It sounds familiar.
It's it's a pixel art. Like it seems like it's gonna be like Stardew Valley, but it's kind of more of a RPG.
Even more so than Stardew Valley. I feel like that's still kind of a
What's that?
RPG almost. Stardew Valley, that's still almost an
Is it?
RPG. How is yeah,
Okay.
kind of like you pick your who you want to like kind of court or who you want to cat or dog, and you can make your character and
That's
create the
true.
farm how you see fit. I mean, it's not like Mass Effect or Fallout where it's like I pick to say X thing and then Y happens. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
that what Garden Story is?
Um, it's like in the middle. Like it's got more like every day there's something that like a mission that you do that's new. So it's not like just free roam all the time. But it has elements of that. So, I mean, I if Stardew Valley is an RPG, then I learned something new today.
Well, it looks like we're teaching each other.
Yes. And you reminded me I'm finally playing Fallout 4.
Oh yeah?
I'd never played it before.
What do you think?
I really like it. It's a it's a vibe with the old-timey music walking around
Yeah.
the
It's just
apocalyptic world.
it has such a unique aesthetic, and I was on such a Fallout kick last year. I beat New Vegas for the first time, and then I beat 4 for the first time. In the
Hmm.
middle of that, the show came out, and
I love the show so
the
far.
show was
I
great.
haven't finished it.
It's
Don't
incredible.
spoil.
I'm not
Nice.
going to say anything about it, but you're going to enjoy it. Um, what I really like about 4 is you get to. It's a game that's like a canvas, and it's kind of in the same
Hmm.
sense that like Tears of the Kingdom is, where you make your own weapons, and Fallout 4 goes that extra step where it's like, okay, but you can also make your own towns and make your own bases, and
Hmm.
it still has, it's like, okay, you can also kind of make what's cool about Bethesda games. It's like, okay, you make your own story. So I always think of like when people say like a Bethesda game or an RPG where you like really kind of make your own choices, and people say the story is weak, and I'm like, dude, you kind of made the story, you know? Like,
Wow.
yeah, deep with deep
Stop
quotes.
making fun of yourself.
I know.
No,
I
like you made the story. Stop making fun of yourself.
Yeah, dude, like come on, you're a writer. Like figure it out. But yeah, like Fallout 4 was really fun. How far into it are you? Have you where are you at?
Uh, is that a thing you can tell?
I mean, kind of like I guess what's the like last thing you remember doing? But the game's so big, you may have done something
Yeah.
that I've never touched.
I don't know. I remember like freeing a town with a guy in a giant robot suit. But I feel like that's probably something you do a lot. The
Like,
big stormtrooper mech suits.
oh, the power armor. Armor.
Yeah.
Did you get attacked by like a giant lizard?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I'm that far.
I mean, you already like you freed a town with them. You didn't
Yeah.
have. You have. Did you get that armor yet, or?
I found it. I found one somewhere, right? They're all over, I
Oh
think.
yeah, they're all over the place. It's like you turn a corner and you're in like someone's backyard, and then there's just like a little nuke or something. It's like, yeah, this really is a post-apocalyptic America.
Yeah. I'm sorry I can't give details because I don't
No, it's
remember.
okay. I couldn't tell you the last thing I was doing in that game or the last thing I was doing in Tears of the Kingdom. But what's like almost a blessing and a curse is those games are so big and there's so much to do, and that's always so fun. But now that it's like I'm an adult with responsibility, I can't like no
You're
life a
always
game
trying,
anymore.
yeah,
Like
you're always
I,
trying to get back into a game because you play it once and then you're
I'm
gone for a while and you forget what
exactly.
happens.
I'm forever trying to get back into Destiny 2. That
Uh,
game kind of like Siege completely reshuffles itself.
hmm.
Maybe not in the extent because I haven't played Siege since what year are they on now? Like year 10, like probably year 3.
Yeah,
Like, oh my god. It's
I
just interesting
there
how
are
much
so
games
many
have changed.
operators now.
Yeah. And there's like some are completely different and reworked. Like what I remember when Tachanka had the turret, place down turret, now he has like grenades and shit.
Yeah, I believe so.
But anyways, Mr. Sam, thank you for your time
Mr.
tonight.
Bentley,
I
thank
really
you for having
appreciate.
me.
Yeah, this was an incredible first episode, one for the history books, and people are always going to talk about how this is the where cutscene confidential got its start. A fun long episode of
Good.
stuff. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and come back next time for more cutscene confidential. Bye bye.
Goodbye.